Everything you do is guided by status, the clothes you wear, the way you talk, what you post on social media. Everything follows a hidden hierarchy, and either you use it or you get used by it. This is day 1 of the path to power. If you're not actively climbing this hierarchy, you're being stepped on by someone who is. There is no neutrality, no middle ground. You are either the one being admired or the one being ignored. And in a world where perception is everything, being ignored is the same as being invisible. The people who have power didn't get it by accident. They understood one thing: life is not about being good, life is about being perceived as valuable. And those who don't project power, they get discarded, socially, professionally, even romantically. You can tell yourself that status doesn't matter, that power is for others, that you're above all of this, but reality doesn't care about your feelings. Play the game or be a pawn in someone else's. I will show you how in the next 30 days, so make sure to follow. If you don't have a clear goal, you're not just lost, you're a target. People without direction don't make their own choices, they follow someone else's. This is day 2 of the path to power. Your brain is wired to focus on what feels urgent, not what's important. If you don't set your own priorities, the world will set them for you. Algorithms decide what you watch. Society tells you what to want. Stronger personalities bend you to their will. Without a fixed direction, your mind becomes an open field, ready for anyone to plant their ideas in it. A clear goal creates a psychological filter. Once you lock in on a target, your brain starts ignoring distractions. The same way a hunter tracks prey, your mind sharpens its focus, cutting out everything irrelevant. That's why the most powerful people aren't the smartest or strongest. They're the ones who know exactly what they want. Your personality, your habits, even your ambitions, they're not yours, they're borrowed from the people around you. This is day 3 of the path to power. You become the 5 people you spend the most time with. Not because of some motivational cliche, but because of neuromirroring. Your brain subconsciously imitates the behaviors, emotions, and even the mindset of those in your closest circle. That's why weak people stay weak. If your environment tolerates laziness, excuses, and mediocrity, you will too. And worse, you won't even notice it happening. Your standards will quietly lower, your drive will fade, and one day, you'll wake up as a version of yourself you never chose to be. So take a hard look at your circle. Are they pushing you forward or are they holding you back? If the answer isn't obvious, it's already too late. Cut dead weight and choose your environment. The world doesn't care who you really are. It only cares about how you present yourself. If you don't control the frame, someone else will, and you won't like the role they give you. This is day 4 of the path to power. People don't follow the truth. They follow the most convincing version of it. That's why a confident idiot gets more respect than a hesitant genius. Perception beats reality, every time. Your posture, your tone, the way you occupy space, all of it tells people how to treat you before you say a single word. Walk like you belong, and people assume you do. Hesitate, and they'll treat you like an outsider. This is why powerful people never explain, they declare. They don't ask for permission, they assume authority. The world will always put you in a box. Make sure it's one you built yourself. Power isn't just about what you do, it's about who sees you doing it. Because in this world, if you're not visible, you don't exist. This is day 5 of the path to power. Familiarity breeds influence. The more people see you, the more important you become in their minds. That's why celebrities, politicians, and billionaires stay in the spotlight, not just to be admired, but to stay relevant. But here's the mistake weak people make. They confuse visibility with availability. If you're always around, you become predictable, expected, ordinary, and nothing kills power faster than being taken for granted. That's why true power players are strategically present. They show up when it matters, disappear when it doesn't, and make every appearance feel like an event. Be seen, but not overshared. Be present, but not predictable. Because in the end, power isn't just about who you are, it's about who remembers you. You're not failing because of bad luck, you're failing because you're not acting, and let's face it, you're not acting because you're terrified of what happens when you actually do something. This is day 6 of the path to power. Your locus of control determines everything. If you believe you control your life, you take action. If you believe life controls you, you wait. The weak wait for motivation, permission, the right moment, but the powerful, they move. Instantly. Every second you hesitate, you reinforce weakness. Doubt grows in delay. Confidence grows in execution. That's why the most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They're just the ones who act before their mind can talk them out of it. You don't have time. Not to overthink, not to hesitate, not to wait for the perfect conditions. You either execute or you get executed by life. Every time you say, "I'll try, I'll see how it goes," or "if it works, great," you've already failed. That's the language of the weak. Power comes from removing failure as an option. You don't try on death ground. You win or you die. This is day 7 of the path to power. This is the death ground strategy, one of the most ruthless psychological tactics in history. Hernán Cortés didn't try to conquer Mexico, he burned his ships, so his men had no way back. Because when your brain knows there's no escape, it stops hesitating and starts executing. But you still leave an exit for yourself. You want success, but you say, I'll give it a shot. You want power, but you say, I'll try my best, and that's why you fail, because your words are giving you permission to lose. If you say, I'll try, you've already accepted the possibility of failure. You've left yourself an exit. But when you say, I will, you cut off the option of losing. Your mind stops looking for ways out and focuses entirely on how to win. Also, announce your goals publicly to make failure humiliating. Invest so much into your plan that turning back would destroy you. Make your success non-negotiable. Quit the backup plans, stop keeping doors open, and watch yourself become unbeatable. Nobody respects you because you're an option. People only respect what's unavoidable. You have to respect the waves in the ocean. You respect them or they eat you alive. True power is not about being noticed, it's about being impossible to ignore. This is day 8 of the path to power. Power is about control over attention. The world doesn't care about what's good, it only acknowledges what's constant, present, and dominant. The ones who control their space do not just wait for the world to notice them, they make sure the world has no other choice. Apple didn't just make a phone, they made it impossible for you to not carry one. So how do you become inevitable? Stop asking for attention, take it. Saturate every corner of your audience's life, be so consistent, so ever-present, that ignoring you feels impossible. Don't give people options, frame yourself as the only logical choice, the only answer. Become so crucial to their existence that not following you would hurt more than following. Control attention and you control the game. The most powerful person in the room isn't the one who talks the most, it's the one who waits. The one who sits in silence, watching, collecting data while everyone else exposes themselves. But most people can't handle the tension. They speak first, they strike first, they show their hand, and the moment they do that, they lose. This is day 9 of the path to power. Because when you move first, you give up the one thing that gives you power. Information asymmetry. In negotiations, arguments, or even mind games, whoever talks first reveals what they want, what they fear, how far they're willing to go, and once that's out in the open, it's no longer leverage, it's a weakness. The FBI uses this tactic in hostage situations. They don't make the first offer. They don't lay out their plan, they wait. Because the second you make the first move, you give the other side something to react to. And a reaction is always stronger than an initiation. Because now they have intel, you don't. So here's the rule, never speak first. Never throw the first punch, verbally or otherwise. Let the other side go first. Let them show their cards. Let them try to impress you, outmaneuver you, dominate you, because in doing so, they reveal everything. While you just sit there, silent, calculating, because the one who moves second controls the outcome. You're not nice, you're just weak. Giving to others without getting anything back isn't generosity, it's submission. Powerful people don't give blindly. They give strategically, because they understand one of the most dangerous psychological forces in human nature, the need to repay debts. This is day 10 of the path to power. Humans are hardwired to hate imbalance. We can't sleep well if we feel like we owe someone something. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism. Those who didn't repay favors were isolated, distrusted, left behind. That instinct still runs our behavior today, and if you understand it, you can use it. Give, but with purpose. A small favor, a compliment, a gesture that seems genuine. Then, step back. Don't ask for anything, just let the discomfort grow. They'll feel it, the urge to even the score, to relieve the silent pressure. That's when you own them. Because now, they're not acting from free will, they're acting from guilt, from imbalance, from a subconscious need to clear the slate. And when you finally name your price, they'll feel grateful to do everything for you, just to restore the balance. The reason you'll never have real power is simple. You don't even know what it is. Most people think power comes from strength, status, or intelligence, but that's a lie. Power comes from desire. The person who wants something can be controlled. The one who needs nothing can't be touched. This is day 11 of the path to power. Power doesn't start with domination. It starts with knowing what people crave. You have power over the man who wants status through recognition, over the woman who wants love with affection, and over the ambitious one through the illusion of progress. This is how power works at the highest level. You never force, you position yourself as the one who can grant access. This is how the most powerful people operate. They become the gatekeepers to other people's deepest needs. So ask yourself, what is the thing you crave? Because the person who figures that out already owns you. You talk too much, and that destroys your power. Most people panic in silence. They interpret it as awkwardness, failure, or weakness. But in reality, silence is power. This is day 12 of the path to power. People don't expect silence after they speak. They expect approval, disagreement, maybe a reaction to mirror their ego. When there's none, just silence, the brain panics. It starts filling in the blanks. It starts doubting. And so they talk more. They start justifying, explaining, overcorrecting, revealing what they didn't mean to. In that moment, they want something from you, a reaction, a signal, reassurance. And once someone wants something from you, you become the one in power. The brain treats people we seek validation from as more valuable, and the more they want from you, the more they will like you. Not because of who you are, but because of the imbalance you created. You ever meet someone who's always a bit off? They forget deadlines, ask the same questions twice, seem kinda slow. You laugh it off, you stop seeing them as competition, but then suddenly, they're ahead of you. They get the deal, the promotion, the power. This is day 13 of the path to power. It's a classic strategy, controlled weakness. By appearing clumsy, passive, or distracted, you lower the defenses of everyone around you. They relax, they talk too much, they stop watching you. Meanwhile, you're quietly listening, positioning, planning, collecting information, and when the moment's right, you make the move no one saw coming. That's exactly how Talleyrand, the French diplomat, survived revolutions, kings, and emperors. He acted slow, almost lazy. People thought he was irrelevant, but behind the scenes, he was manipulating everyone, signing secret treaties, shifting alliances, even betraying Napoleon at just the right time. By the time they realized what he'd done, it was already too late. He was still standing, and they were gone. You think honesty builds trust, especially when it comes to what you want. But revealing your true desires is the fastest way to lose power, because the moment they know what you want, they own you. This is day 14 of the path to power. Power is about leverage, and leverage comes from mystery. The second someone sees what you really want, your intentions, your goals, your weak spot, they can manipulate you. They can withhold it, raise the price, use it as bait, or worse, destroy it. Think about poker. The worst player is the one showing their hand, not because their cards are bad, but because everyone knows how to play them. This applies everywhere, in business, in relationships, in negotiations. When your desires are visible, you're exposed. When they're hidden, you remain unreadable, unpredictable, dangerous. Psychologists call this strategic ambiguity. It creates cognitive tension. People don't know where you stand, and that makes them cautious, more generous, more afraid to cross you. So here's how you use it. Act like you're interested in something else. Let them chase shadows, because when people don't know what move you're making, they can't block it. Every time you receive criticism, you crumble. You start justifying yourself, explaining your actions, and in doing so you maneuver yourself into a position of weakness. But criticism doesn't have to destroy you. There's a secret technique you can use to turn it into your greatest weapon. This is day 15 of the path to power. It's called strategic controversy. When you receive negative feedback, the instinct is to explain yourself, justify your actions, or apologize. But that makes you appear weak and reactive. Instead, acknowledge the criticism without defending yourself and turn it into a conversation. Rather than saying, "I've done that because, try this. Thanks for sharing. I'd love to hear more about how you came to that conclusion." This shifts the narrative. Now the other person needs to justify their position instead of you. You're the one asking the questions, they're the ones who have to react. And 90% of people's opinions are based on nothing more than assumptions or emotions. After just 3 to 5 why questions, their entire stance crumbles. This leaves them with 2 options. Back down and retract their criticism, or dig in, get emotional, and make mistakes. In both cases, you win. People always say, love unites, but psychology disagrees. Nothing unites like hate. Nothing brings people together like a shared enemy. So, if you want loyalty, don't offer a vision, offer a villain. This is day 16 of the path to power. In group psychology, there's a principle so old it's practically carved into our DNA. Tribes form through conflict, not through shared dreams, but shared threats. You see it everywhere: religion, politics, even cults. They define themselves by what they're against. Because the moment you identify a villain, people stop being individuals and start becoming a unified force. When someone talks about what they're against, we instinctively lean in, listen, and if we agree, we align. You create power not by being neutral, but by becoming a pole people can either reject or rally around. So define your identity by the enemy you choose. If you're building a brand, don't just talk about your values, talk about what you stand against. If you're building personal power, be vocal about what you won't tolerate, what disgusts you, what you're fighting. You don't need to start wars, but you do need to stand for something, and that means standing against something else. And those who agree will follow you blindly. You think tolerance makes you a good person, but if you tolerate everything, you stand for nothing. You call it being a good person, being moral, but in reality, you are just too weak to defend your own values, and use tolerance as an excuse for it. This is day 17 of the path to power. A man without boundaries is a man without a spine. Psychology shows us that strong personal identity stems from clear distinctions: what you accept, and more importantly, what you reject. People think being open-minded means letting everything slide, but real strength isn't in what you allow, it's in what you forbid. When you tolerate lies, disrespect, bullshit, or manipulation, you send one clear signal: that you are easy to use, and the world will use you. Your silence becomes permission. Your flexibility becomes weakness. Your need to be liked becomes a leash around your neck, and every manipulator out there will pull it. So what are your boundaries? What are your values? Where do you draw the line? And do you draw it in sand or in stone? Are you afraid to make people uncomfortable? To make them choose between respecting you and walking away? Tolerance won't give you power, boundaries will. Maybe is a coward's word. It sounds safe, but it kills authority. Every time you say maybe, you hand your power to someone else. People don't follow uncertainty, they follow finality. You don't shape reality by suggesting, you shape it by declaring. This is day 18 of the path to power. Language is power. When you say something with conviction, your brain registers it as truth, and more importantly, so does everyone else. It's called the illusion of finality, the psychological bias that makes people accept firm, confident statements as reality, even without evidence. That's why politicians never say "I think" or "I'm not sure." They say "this is how it is," and people obey, not because it's logical, but because it's emotionally certain. In a negotiation, never say, "maybe we could do this." Say, "this is what's going to happen." The tone alone changes everything. Weak language invites debate, strong language closes it. So if you want influence, stop using conditional speech. Stop diluting your intent with maybe, I guess, or I think. Say it like it's already law. Be the person whose words sound like decisions, not suggestions. Nobody cares about your successes. People only care about your mistakes and weaknesses. Once they spot a flaw and focus, they stop digging deeper. This is day 19 of the path to power. This is the art of tactical misdirection. The most obvious mistake is the one that overshadows all others. This is the flaw you must create yourself, a flaw that looks real enough to attack, but fake enough not to hurt. Think of it like a pawn you sacrifice in chess. People will assume it's real, they'll feel clever for pointing it out, and stop looking for anything else, like a politician who mispronounces his wife's name. The mistake becomes the focus of the entire speech, while the more complex lies about geopolitics slip under the radar, simply because the obvious flaw catches everyone's eye. People love finding flaws, so give them one, just not the real one. The more they think they understand you, the more blind they become to what truly matters. Loyalty is a lie. People switch sides the moment it benefits them. If you want control, don't ask for loyalty, create dependency. This is day 20 of the path to power. Loyalty is based on feelings, it's fragile, and it can change. But dependence? That's rooted in necessity. When people depend on you for something, whether it's resources, emotional support, or information, they have a reason to stay. The more they rely on you, the less likely they are to walk away, because without you, they lose something valuable. It's about becoming the irreplaceable part of their life. The friend they call when they need advice, the boss they rely on for guidance, or the partner who anchors them emotionally. You become the one thing they can't imagine losing, and that's where true power lies. Don't make them feel like you're doing them a favor, make them feel like they need you to function. People won't leave what they can't live without. If you apologize, you're not being nice, you're being weak. You're training people to treat you like a mistake. Every time you say you're sorry for something you believe in, you're telling the world that you don't trust your own judgment. You would rather be liked than respected. That's not humility, that's submission. And power doesn't submit. This is day 21 of the path to power. Apologies have their place when you've done real harm and you want to repair trust. But most apologies in daily life aren't about damage. They're about discomfort. You bump into someone and say, sorry. You speak up in a meeting and then apologize for being too direct. You chase what you want, then apologize for being too much. What you're really doing is shrinking, softening the impact of your presence. And the more you do it, the more people subconsciously register you as lower in status, less certain, less solid, and they start losing respect for you, because no one respects a mistake. So next time you're tempted to apologize, pause. Ask yourself, do you regret it? Or are you just uncomfortable with someone else's reaction? If you do it again, don't apologize, stand on it. In power games, certainty beats likability, every time. Say men can get pregnant today, and you'll get applause. Say it 10 years ago and they'd call you insane. What's normal today was unthinkable yesterday, not because of natural progress, but because of one of the most underestimated tactics of mass manipulation. This is day 22 of the path to power. It's called the Overton window. You deliberately push extreme ideas into public debate, not because you expect them to be accepted, but to make your real agenda seem reasonable by comparison. You want drag shows for kids to be normalized? You don't start with that. You start with, children should be allowed to undergo gender surgeries. That shocks everyone, they push back hard, and then you slide in your actual goal. Now it feels like a moderate compromise. This is how you shift the boundary of what's acceptable without winning a single argument. You twist their sense of normal so much that the absurd starts to look like common sense. It's how we went from treat everyone with respect to Use 87 pronouns or you're a bigot. This works everywhere. In negotiations, in business, in daily interactions. Lead with a claim no one could possibly accept. Push the boundary so far toward your side that when you retreat to what you really want, it feels like middle ground. Remember the last time you were in an argument, the other person said something that hurt, something that made your blood boil? All of your instincts told you to scream at them, to show them they can't treat you that way. And you did. You let your emotions take over, and with that, you violated the one rule to win any argument. This is day 23 of the path to power. The second you react, you lose. Not because they're right, but because they pulled you out of control. The one who gets emotional first always gives away power. Every loud word, every visible reaction is a crack in your armor. Your reactions are a roadmap to your insecurities, and once someone knows where to poke, they'll never stop pressing that button. Staying calm doesn't mean you're weak. It means they never got close enough to touch anything real. You treat their words like a child's slap. Loud, maybe annoying, but harmless. You don't respond because you're untouchable, because you're not playing their game. The most powerful people in the room are the ones who look unfazed while everyone else loses their composure. That's real dominance. Not barking back, not proving anything, just knowing they can't touch you unless you let them. Whenever someone needs something, a favor, a quick call, a short email, your time or your attention, you say yes, you help, you listen, you give, and before you even realize it, the day's gone. You're drained, and yet nothing you actually needed to do got done. Why? Because you didn't protect your time, you didn't value it. And if you don't, no one else will. People will keep taking until nothing is left. This is day 24 of the path to power. Every time you say yes to shit that doesn't move you forward, you're saying no to your own future. You're telling the world that anyone at any time can reach into your life and pull you off course. And once they know you'll let them, they won't stop. You don't need to answer everything. You need to make space for yourself first, because no one else is going to do it for you. People respect what you protect, and if you protect your time, they'll adjust. If you don't, they'll keep stepping over you without even noticing they're doing it. Nobody listens to you, because every time you make a statement, you look around. You search their faces. Some agree, some don't. The silence grows heavy, and you can't take it. You start filling it. You soften your words, you explain, you justify, you twist your truth to make them comfortable, and by the time you're done, the message is dead. This is day 25 of the path to power. The need to explain comes from weakness. It comes from fear that your words alone aren't enough. But real power is saying what you mean and letting it land. No softening. No over-explaining. No trying to manage how people feel about it. When you say something and leave it there, you create tension. You force people to sit with your words, to think about them, to react to them without you leading them by the hand. Explanations are for people looking for approval, and powerful people don't need approval. They make statements, not conversations. And every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you train people to listen harder. You train them to take your words seriously. Because not everything needs a follow-up. Not every opinion needs to be defended. Not every statement needs to be made soft enough for fragile people to digest. Say it once. Say it clearly. Then shut the fuck up. Your ADHD does not exist. Every time you struggle to focus, act impulsively, or feel stuck, it's easy to reach for the perfect excuse. I have ADHD. I can't help it. I'm sick. But the only thing you're really doing is shifting responsibility away from yourself. And whatever you refuse to take responsibility for, you cannot change. This is day 26 of the path to power. The moment you think you can't do something because of your condition, you strip yourself of your own power. You stop trying, convincing yourself that failure is inevitable. But it isn't. Instead of clinging to beliefs that weaken you, start believing in those that empower you. If others can succeed, why shouldn't you? Most people stop because they think their condition gives them a legitimate reason to fail. But if you refuse to believe that your illness limits you, the excuse disappears. You give yourself permission to try again, and maybe succeed on the 2nd, 5th, or even 10th attempt. That extra effort would never have existed if you had surrendered to the idea of a disabling disease. Of course, this is irrational, but pure rationality will only ever make you average. If you want to rise above the norm, you must sometimes act irrationally. You must believe in yourself when everything says you shouldn't. People always say never again and do the exact same thing a week later. They act like words are enough, like saying something makes it real. But nothing changes. Their word carries zero weight. No one takes them seriously. No one respects them. Not others, not even themselves. This is day 27 of the path to power. This is the line that separates weak men from strong men. When you say something, it should be final. Not just an idea, not a mood, a decision. Spoken once and lived fully. And yes, it's going to hurt. You'll lose people, you'll lose comfort, you'll lose the option to back out. But that's exactly why it means something. Because it costs. Your word only has power if you're willing to suffer for it. Because nothing worth having in life comes easy. You say, you're done with her, then you don't text back no matter how lonely it gets. You say, you're getting up at 5, then you do it, Even when your body begs you to sleep, you say you're changing, then you kill the old version of yourself, not when it's convenient, but when it's hell, when everything you have to do hurts. That's what makes people respect you. That's what makes you respect yourself. Because the man who honors his word, no matter the price, is not only rare and valuable, but powerful. The reason women lose interest, the reason people don't take you seriously, the reason you get ignored, deals slip away and no one treats you like a priority is simple. You're too desperate. People are allergic to neediness. They smell it. And the second they do, they lose all respect. This is day 28 of the path to power. This has nothing to do with being cold. It's about staying independent, whether you feel it or not. You can show interest, you can be direct, but never in a way that puts you beneath the other person. The moment they feel that you're dependent on their reaction, their time, their attention, you lose. If you want to be respected, you have to act like nothing is essential. No deal, no person, no outcome. You stay grounded, whether they stay or go. That's what draws people in. Because people don't follow the ones who need them, they follow the ones who don't. You ever notice how quickly people give up when something stops being exciting? They start a new project, a goal, a plan, and for the first few days, they're all in. Then, the novelty fades. 2 weeks later, it's no longer fun enough, and they're already looking for something new. Here, most people fail because they lack a specific ability. This is day 29 of the path to power. People say they want results, but what they're really chasing is feeling. The moment that feeling disappears, they stop. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Because every worthwhile result requires long phases of repetition. No shortcuts, just the same actions, day after day, without feedback, without visible progress, without stimulation. They think they need motivation, but what they actually need is the ability to endure monotony, boredom, and pain. If you want power, stop chasing excitement. Start doing the work even when it feels empty. Especially then, because once you can sit inside the boredom and keep going, no one can compete with you. So learn to endure boredom and enjoy the silence. Nobody respects you because you let them. You think that letting everything go makes you likable and keeps the peace, that if you ignore the small slights, they'll stop. But they don't. They multiply. People talk over you, show up late, make slick comments, and you let it happen because you don't want to seem sensitive, because you tell yourself it's not worth it. Until one day you realize you're surrounded by people who don't take you seriously, who don't respect you, because you trained them to. This is day 30 of the path to power. Power starts with zero tolerance. Everything you do sends signals to others. If they disrespect you and you let it slide, they will receive the signal you are not deserving of respect, because you are okay with disrespect. Maybe it is because you are afraid of confrontation, because you desperately want to be liked. The reasons don't matter. What matters is that you need to interrupt every small form of disrespect immediately. If you want real power, stop being easy to deal with. Start becoming the person who enforces the line the moment it's tested. And once they feel that, they don't test you twice.